Welcome to the Achieve Results Now podcast, the podcast that gives you immediate actions you can take to start seeing life-shifting results now. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Achieve Results Now podcast. This is Mark Cardone.
And Theron Feidt.
This is a super personal episode for me, and I'm excited because, at the dojo every week, for the listeners who aren't lucky enough to be part of the dojo, we have what we call weekly wisdom, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's basically, something that we talk to the students about, but also something we reflect on throughout the week that's a, success principle at the dojo. And, this week's weekly wisdom is about how to be, how black belts are driven,
Right.
how they're driven, they're motivated. And as I was looking at it, I said, I'm a black belt, but I'm not always driven. And I said, like, maybe there's something wrong. So let's talk about it. So I'm excited for this episode because we're really talking about, how to find that drive and how achievers really think, act, and live. And I think this is a really
Yeah.
cool.
Well, there's a couple things about what you said that I really love, and it's a great lesson for everybody. So I do this weekly wisdom, and this one I was looking back and I'm like, I need to find one that I haven't done in a while. We're between black belt cycles, already have 30 or 35 that I rotate through, and I might rewrite every once in a while. Now this one, I don't think I've used for 15 years. But you remember it because when we're
Yeah,
talking about it, you remember the wisdom. Now I rewrote it for this one, this wisdom, and I wasn't as good a writer back then for sure. But the other thing that strikes me is as many of the times that you've heard these wisdoms, and especially and this one in particular as well, it resonated with you,
yeah,
and that's just such a great thing um, for the dojo. Is like even a sensei who's been here for 30 plus years, you're still getting something out of it.
100%.
So yeah, so that's real cool. So this one I like a lot. And the title we're going with is How Achievers Think, Act, and Live. And this is something that it's not an accident. Achievers, they shouldn't be drifting towards success. And that just doesn't happen very rarely. I mean, once in a while, sometimes you get lucky, but I think largely your luck is made by the actions that you're taking, your attitude. So, you want to do this first step, or do you want me to?
No, let's get right into it. So, I mean, action
Okay.
step number one is about defining what excellence looks like for you, and I love that word excellence because it's excellence is not perfection,
Right.
right? What perfection looks like for you, it doesn't matter, right? Because it's unattainable. But
Right.
what is excellence? Like exactly what you said. Achievers are not drifting towards anything.
Right.
They set those clear, specific targets and they let their goals kind of create that drive,
Hmm.
right? So when we're not feeling driven, a lot of times it's not lack of direction. It's kind of that lack of a goal, lack of a thing we're
Right.
chasing.
Right. Yep. So it's important that we're setting a goal that demands that you grow. This is scary, and often people don't do it. They don't set goals because they're scared, because they don't want to put the work in. But by doing that, that's going to stretch you and really stretch you mentally and sometimes physically to get it down. So it's important that you're writing it down, make a commitment to other people about it, and that's going to help tremendously to motivate you daily to do something towards it.
Yeah, and I think one of the most important things about goals, or one of the most important next steps once you set a goal, is figuring out what that why is. Like, why do I
Hmm.
want that? And understanding what that achievement represents for you, right? It's not just about titles and awards and all of those
Right.
things. It's really about building your character, right? Because what makes somebody an achiever? I mean, I think part of what makes somebody an achiever, if you're listening to this, you're halfway there, right? You
Yeah.
want to grow, you want to get better, you want to set
Hmm.
goals, and then part two of that is the actions that you're taking to actually do those things, right? So,
Right.
I think understanding what that achievement represents for you is developing that why and really taking that next step.
Yeah, that's huge. That's huge. Now, action step number two is train. We have three pillars, and in this weekly wisdom, there was three specific pillars. Now, of course, there's many pillars that we can use.
Right.
I just chose these three for a specific reason. So we're going to go through each one of them. I'll do the first one. So the first one is sharpen your skill. Now, this seems obvious, and I would think it would be obvious if you want to improve, you need to sharpen your skill or your skills, but often people don't do it. They just are on autopilot too often. So what this is talking about is identify something specific, things that you can improve on. And there's so much you can improve on. Of course, there's certain people that are more natural than others. I've trained thousands of people, and hey, some people are just better at certain things than others. But that doesn't mean the person that isn't as good can't get better. And what I found is oftentimes the person that isn't good right now, if they start working on it, they can almost be the top, or sometimes they are the top because it's a hidden skill they didn't realize they were good at until they actually started working and developing it. So be deliberate with what you need to work on. We always go by the adage of what are your top threes? What are the top three things that you want to improve on with your skills? And if you and I think three is a great number. It's a stretch number, but it's also an attainable number. If you say, well, I need to work on these 10 things, you're probably going to procrastinate because the list is too big.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to work on one thing. It's probably too small that you're going to procrastinate because it's too small and I'll get to it tomorrow. I'll get to it tomorrow. Where three, from my experience, is a magic number that is just big enough, but also small enough to get you to work and motivate.
Yeah, I like what you said because I think, we can overdo it, and
Yeah.
procrastinate because it's too big. But sometimes you can almost, limit too small and say like, well,
Right.
this is so easy, I can start this tomorrow, and
Yeah.
I think that
Yep.
magic three number is the right one.
Uh-huh.
The second sub step in this is really about, so the second pillar is about strengthening your will, right? And mindset and discipline, they're muscles, right? Mindset is a
Hmm.
muscle. We talk about this on the podcast all the time. Having that will to do things, especially on the days that you don't feel like it. It's
Right.
easy on the days when you wake up motivated. Going to the gym day one is super easy because it's
Yep.
fresh
Right.
and you're ready.
Yeah.
But when you're sore or when it's that workout you don't want to do or whatever it is, those are the days you really have to exercise your will. Protect that will from negativity. Don't let other people
Hmm.
get into it, and just keep going.
Yep. Love it. Love it. And then the third pillar is elevate your conditioning. And when I talk about conditioning, of course, I'm talking about your physical conditioning. If your body is in good condition, your energy is going to be higher and your mental focus is going to be better for sure. Anytime we're tired and fatigued, how are we mentally? We're not good. How are we emotionally? Not good. We snap at people. We're not at our best. And the other part is the mental side of sharpening that and conditioning your mental side. So when problems arise, how do you respond to them? Are you going to fly off the handle or are you going to be okay with it? And I mean, things happen. Um, Something again personally, I was just talking to you yesterday about it. My son was coming back from college, had his car packed. It was 8 o'clock at night, and I get a phone call. Oh, hey, Dad, my car's overheating. Okay, where are you? Well, I'm on the thruway heading home. All right, send me your location. Well, his location was 50 minutes away. Well, obviously, it's more than 50 minutes because I have to go all the way down the thruway, turn around, and come back. So it was about an hour away. Well, that's fine. I did it. Well, he's going away this summer, and now, the car is going to be fixed because there was a problem with it. We had to get it towed. So really, instead of me getting all mad about it, I wasn't mad. And you know me, I was like, I just have to do it. And we didn't get home until 11 o'clock that night, on a Sunday night. It's just the way it is. But what's the positive about it? Well, the car's going to be fixed and it's going to be working. So when he goes down um, to North Carolina for the summer, he's gonna have a working car. What would be worse? Halfway down to North Carolina and then it breaks down. That
Yeah.
would be way worse. Then he
Right.
misses the start of his season. We have to figure out the car situation. Where are we going to get it fixed? All of these things. So it was actually a blessing that it happened then. Was it fun? Well, no. But was it better? Yes. And why? Because of the attitude of it. So that's an example, a real life example that we're not just teaching this stuff, but we're trying to live by it as well.
I love the thought of conditioning because it's really like you said fly off the handle, and I always think some people fly off the handle immediately, and
Hmm.
like that people have great conditioning where we still fly off the handle, but it really takes a lot to get
Oh
there.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know what I
for
mean?
sure.
That thought of just conditioning yourself is so good.
Yep.
Um, Getting into action step number three, and I really think this is one of those things that makes people achievers, right? It's about refusing to accept your current level as the final level, right?
Right.
He quits a video game in the middle, or I guess some people do, but the people who are constantly looking at where they are, right, and wanting to level up is
Hmm.
to achievers. So, part one of this is really just rejecting mediocrity as a destination at all, because I think some people, that complacency, right, and that, hey, this is where I'm at and this is the best it's going to get. That is not a great way to live your life if you're
No.
right. It's about asking, what's that thing I can improve? What can I make better? And I mean, this works for everything, our fitness, our relationships. I mean, if you ask, how can I improve my marriage a little bit every day?
Hmm.
Let's have a great marriage, my relationship with my kids, my workplace, my customer experience. It works with everything. So
Right.
looking, how can I improve this today? And then acting on that answer.
And this last sub step of step number three is embracing the process. Um, Oftentimes when we're setting goals, we have a destination that we're going for. That's all our focus. Our focus is on that. And of course, we need to be focused so we're moving in that direction. But we should be embracing what's happening as we're doing it. And in order to be successful, it's not just where you're going, it's what you're doing daily, your daily actions. And sometimes it's a daily grind. There's certain things that you need to do to make things happen, and you need to embrace that and realize that is moving you towards your goal. And even if it's not pleasant at the time, it's not going to last forever.
Yeah.
This too shall pass. It's gonna get better. It's only gonna take 2 hours, or it's only gonna take an hour. Suck it up and just get it done. But by embracing that process and sometimes embracing the grind, it's gonna make a big difference in your attitude about it. But also, it's gonna develop habits that are gonna stay with you, so you do it on a daily basis.
Yeah, and on this one, it's funny. It's that time of year where kids are starting to graduate from college and high
Yeah.
school, and I love watching the commencement speeches. And
Hmm.
I was watching one yesterday where Henry Winkler, or as you and I know him as the Fonzie,
The fonts.
right, the Fonz, right? He said, two words he lives by are, I really like this part. He said, two words he lives by are tenacity and gratitude,
Mm,
and the tenacity to keep going and keep improving, but then the gratitude because it's about enjoying that part of the process. It's about not every not every step is going to be a great step. Some steps are going to be
right.
bumpy, and you
Right.
have to be able to sit where you are and just be grateful that you're making
Right.
progress. So I think that just run right in with what we're talking about in step three here.
That's awesome. Hey, that might be a future podcast.
You never know. Henry,
Usually, because
words of wisdom from the Fonz, um, or as I think kids now will probably know him as like the coach from the Water Boy. I don't know.
oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
But
Yeah,
anyway, so how achievers think, act, and live. Let's review our action steps.
sounds good.
Action step number one is about defining what excellence looks like for you. That's the most important part. Setting a goal that demands a little bit of growth, that
Hmm.
makes you uncomfortable, and
Right.
then understanding your why. What does that achievement represent for you?
Action step two is about training the three pillars every single day. And the first pillar is sharpen your skills. So that's identifying the skills you need to work on and start working on them daily. The second pillar is strengthen your will. So that's your mindset, your focus, your discipline muscle, if you will. And the last one is elevate your conditioning. So that's your mental conditioning, your physical conditioning, your emotional conditioning. So make sure that you're strong enough that the small little things are going to throw you off emotionally, and then your day's shot because you can't control, or you haven't learned how to control your emotions.
Action step number three, refuse to accept your current level as your final level. Always be asking how you can improve and then embracing that process, not just the big milestones. Make sure you're enjoying while you're there. And that wraps up this episode of the Achieve Results Now podcast. Please share this with somebody that you think would get benefit from it. And we'll see you on the next episode.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks for listening. Hop over to our website at www.achieveresultsnow.com to get your free copy of our book, Ignite Results. for specific daily actions to help you achieve results now. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/achieve results now. Thanks for listening, commenting, and subscribing. Now get out there and achieve results now.